In the quiet town of Willowbrook, nestled among the trees, stood a house that at first glance appeared entirely ordinary. Its red brick exterior and white picket fence gave it the illusion of a peaceful abode. The Sutter family, consisting of a middle-aged architect named John and his teenage daughter Emily, had recently moved in. They were in search of a fresh start, away from the bustling city. Little did they know, their new home held secrets beyond their wildest nightmares. The first few weeks in Willowbrook passed without incident. John busied himself with renovating the house, while Emily familiarized herself with the new surroundings. The townsfolk were friendly, and everything seemed perfect. However, beneath the surface of normalcy, an ominous presence began to make itself known. It started with faint, almost imperceptible whispers. Emily would hear them at night, hushed voices as if a conversation was taking place just beyond her bedroom door. At first, she thought it was a trick of her imagination, a side effect of her recent move and the stress of starting at a new school. She mentioned it to her father, but John brushed it off as dreams induced by the unfamiliar environment. But the whispers persisted, growing louder and more insistent with each passing night. Emily could now make out distinct words, although she wished she couldn't. The voices spoke of dark, malevolent things, of suffering, torment, and an insatiable desire for companionship. Terrified, Emily fled her room one evening and sought solace in the living room. There, she discovered a collection of old family photographs, long forgotten by the previous owners. As she looked at them, the whispers took form and substance. It was as if the voices were emanating from the very pictures she held in her trembling hands. "Stay with us, Emily," they pleaded, their tone a chilling mixture of despair and longing. "Stay with us forever." The images in the photographs seemed to come to life. Distorted faces contorted in agony, hands reaching out from the faded pictures as if they could pull her into their world. Emily dropped the photographs, her heart pounding in her chest. She had to escape this sinister presence that had invaded their once happy home. In the following days, John noticed the toll that these nocturnal disturbances were taking on his daughter. Emily's health rapidly deteriorated. She became gaunt, her eyes hollow from lack of sleep and constant fear. John was now convinced that something was seriously wrong. He began to investigate the history of their house, hoping to find some clue, some explanation. What he discovered sent shivers down his spine. The previous residents had left behind a trove of old letters, tucked away in a dusty attic. They were written by a woman named Agnes, who had lived in the house many decades ago. The letters told a harrowing tale of a tragic love affair, of promises made and broken, and of a yearning for eternal companionship. They spoke of an entity that Agnes had summoned in her despair, a malevolent spirit that craved the presence of the living to alleviate its own suffering. The sinister whispers that tormented Emily were the desperate cries of this tormented spirit, and it was growing increasingly restless. The physical and mental toll it was taking on Emily was undeniable. John knew that they had to act quickly to save their daughter. They sought the help of a local priest, a man experienced in dealing with the supernatural. Together, they performed a cleansing ritual in the house. As the ritual progressed, the whispers grew louder and more frenzied, as if the malevolent spirit was fighting to maintain its hold. In the climax of the ritual, the entity finally revealed itself, a grotesque, shadowy figure that emanated pure malevolence. It screamed and writhed as the priest's words and holy symbols forced it into the light. The exorcism was a battle of wills, a struggle for control over the house. But in the end, the power of faith prevailed. With a final, agonized wail, the sinister presence was banished from the house, leaving behind a sense of eerie calm. The whispers ceased, and Emily's health slowly began to improve. The Sutter family had survived their ordeal, but they would forever be haunted by the chilling memory of the sinister ghost that had taken residence in their seemingly ordinary home. In the suburbs, on the outskirts of a quiet town, stood a house that seemed like any other. Its white-painted exterior and neatly trimmed lawn gave it the appearance of a typical family home. Michael Carpenter, a banker, had recently moved in with his wife, Lisa, and their two young children, a boy named Ethan and a girl named Olivia. To all outward appearances, it was an ideal place to raise a family. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, strange things began to happen in the Carpenter house. It started innocently enough, with the sound of laughter. Laughter that echoed through the halls each night, like the joyful giggles of a child at play. Lisa would often rush to check on her children, fearing they were the source of the laughter. However, every time she entered their rooms, she found them fast asleep, their innocent faces peaceful in slumber. It was as if the laughter came from nowhere, as if it belonged to a presence unseen. Michael, always the pragmatic one, initially dismissed it as his wife's imagination. He attributed it to the stresses of their recent move and the adjustment to a new home. But the laughter persisted, growing more frequent and increasingly sinister in tone. One fateful night, Lisa decided to investigate. She climbed up to the attic, a space they had seldom used. As she searched for any clues to the source of the haunting laughter, she stumbled upon an old journal, dusty and forgotten. The journal belonged to Sarah, the previous owner of the house. Its pages were filled with Sarah's elegant cursive handwriting, and as Lisa read, she uncovered a tale of heartbreak and tragedy. Sarah had lost her only child, a daughter named Lily, in a terrible accident. The grief had driven her to the brink of madness. In the journal, Sarah made a promise to her beloved Lily that she would return to her. She wrote of performing rituals, summoning spirits, and making pacts with forces beyond the understanding of mortal men. She believed that by doing so, she could bring her daughter back from the dead. As Lisa read these chilling words, she felt a presence in the attic with her. It was as if the very air had grown heavy, and a cold, malevolent force surrounded her. The laughter that had haunted their nights transformed into anguished cries, as if the spirit of Sarah had taken notice of Lisa's intrusion. Terrified, Lisa fled from the attic, clutching the journal tightly in her trembling hands. She knew she had stumbled upon a malevolent force, a spirit that believed her own child was the reincarnation of Lily, the daughter Sarah had lost. Paranormal investigators were called to the Carpenter house, and seances were held in an attempt to communicate with the restless spirit. But Sarah's presence grew stronger, her desperation intensifying. She would not be denied the reunion she so desperately sought. As the days turned into weeks, the Carpenter family's once happy home became a place of dread. The laughter turned to anguished cries, and the malevolent spirit of Sarah was now a constant presence. She reached out to Lisa, her icy grip tightening with each passing day. In the end, the Carpenters had no choice but to abandon their home. They left behind the haunted house, the chilling memory of Sarah, and her tortured spirit that continued to search for her lost child. The suburban facade hid a sinister secret, one that had driven them from their seemingly ordinary home. Nathan and Amanda Foster had found what they believed to be their dream home, a cozy, suburban house in a quiet neighborhood. With the birth of their newborn child, it seemed like the perfect place to raise a family. But beneath the facade of a normal, happy life lurked an unsettling presence. At first, the strange occurrences were subtle. Shadows flickered in the corners of rooms, disappearing when looked at directly. The baby's cries at night were accompanied by faint whispers, as if unseen entities gathered around the crib. Amanda, a naturally skeptical person, dismissed these odd events as figments of her imagination, mere tricks of the light and the stress of new motherhood. But Nathan, more attuned to the supernatural, sensed something sinister lurking within their home. As the weeks passed, the shadows grew bolder, less subtle in their movements. Amanda began to feel a constant sense of being watched, even in the empty rooms of the house. Nathan, in his search for answers, decided to explore the house's history. His investigation led him to a room on the top floor that had remained locked since they had moved in. It was a small, unassuming space, but what he discovered inside sent a chill down his spine. The walls were covered in strange drawings, etched into the faded wallpaper with what appeared to be charcoal. Symbols and grotesque faces stared back at him, their meaning unclear but undeniably malevolent. Nathan delved deeper into the history of the house and uncovered a disturbing truth. The previous owner, a reclusive artist named Lydia, had practiced dark rituals within that very room. She had believed that she could harness the power of the shadows, bend them to her will. The shadows that had once been her allies had turned against her, consuming her in a nightmarish ordeal that ended in her disappearance. Lydia's obsession with the room and its malevolent energies had driven her to madness. As Nathan pieced together the puzzle of Lydia's tragic fate, Amanda's sense of unease escalated into terror. She felt a pervasive malevolence that seemed to radiate from the room itself. Nathan encountered a malevolent entity in his nightmares, a shadowy figure that whispered dark promises of power. In a desperate bid to rid their home of the sinister presence, Nathan sought the help of a paranormal expert, a woman skilled in confronting the supernatural. Together, they performed a ritual to cleanse the room and banish the malevolent shadows. The ritual was fraught with danger, as the shadows fought back with a ferocity that was both terrifying and relentless. But Nathan and the expert persevered, and with a blinding burst of light, the malevolent shadows were expelled from the room. The Foster's house was no longer plagued by the sinister presence. Amanda's sense of being watched vanished, and their newborn child slept peacefully through the night. Yet, they couldn't forget the room of shadows and the malevolent entity that had once lurked within their seemingly ordinary home. The suburban house, once a symbol of their dreams, had become a chilling reminder that even the most ordinary places could harbor dark secrets and supernatural terrors.